we talked about how an immigrant's occupation and their appearance is reasonable suspicion. If that's not just saying we are going to profile people, I don't know what is.
Caller from a 714 area code. We'll go ahead and bring you on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Buenos dias, comrades. Revolutionary greetings to everybody. Hope this finds everybody well. Jose Francisco Negrete, rank and file Teamster 952 out here in Orange County. Also part of Teamster Mobilize and Labor for Palestine, LA, OCNIE. Well, living out here in basically a guerrilla-style military occupation that's happening in Southern California. I want to give some brief dates of things that have occurred and things that will occur. Yesterday, there was a press conference at Placito Vera, a historical place when it comes to Los Angeles, and sorry about that. I'm just barely waking up.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
So on August 12th, for August 12th, there's going to be a general strike. It was called by the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, Chila, and SEIU Local 721. So I just hope everybody, more information is going to come out, but put that in your calendar, lock that in, put that on your iPhone calendar or whatever calendar you have. But August 12th, there's going to be not necessarily a general strike. Will probably be like a day without an immigrant or something like that. But just please be on the lookout for August 12th. And then this past Monday, July 7th, we saw basically a military tactical practice at MacArthur Park, an historic park in Los Angeles. And that was, the community came out, members from Unión del Barrio, South Defense Coalition, and all other organizations came out, and community members came out to protest it. And I saw an interview where I'm glad finally the community saw that there's no such thing as a sanctuary city. Because why? Law enforcement will protect their own, regardless if it's local, state, or federal. They'll come and protect their own. And we've seen images of the LAPD, LA sheriffs cracking down on protesters because they're protesting outside of the detention centers where the Gestapo are just kidnapping car wash workers, day laborers, anybody that they have reasonable suspicion, in air quotes, of being of a undocumented worker or person. And last week there's a coalition that came about, and we launched a Home Depot boycott. So as of last week, we're urging the public to not shop at Home Depot. Spend your money elsewhere, because Home Depot has been complicit in these Gestapo kidnappings that are happening. Because one tactic that the Gestapo uses is they'll park a car overnight, and they'll park it overnight, and then the next morning, if they see 10 day workers or more, they call it in to arrest, to kidnap these day workers. They're just looking for a job. But there's been patrolling Home Depots and passing out Know Your Rights cards, telling the day laborers, look, if you get detained by the Gestapo or ICE, like the media likes to call them, I just like to call them the Gestapo because it comes personal Gestapo. That do not mention your names. Do not sign anything. And if you see somebody recording, give a phone number of a loved one so we could get in contact with that individual. So we urge the public to not shop at Home Depot. If you see a day laborer, talk to them or tell them, look, if they come and they kidnap you, do not sign anything. Do not give your names. And if you see somebody recording, please give a phone number for a loved one. because it's vital that, you know, we get in contact with their loved one. But I'm glad to see out here in the occupation of Southern California that there's community patrols. Los Angeles has one. It's called the Community Self-Defense Coalition. Orange County started one. Same thing. Orange County Community Self-Defense Coalition. There's one in the Inland Empire. I don't know about San Diego, but I think San Diego probably has one. And then we just saw on Thursday the tactics that they used in MacArthur Park were used at a cannabis farm in Ventura.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people are upset about the violence, you know, that some of the community members used. But if your loved one's being kidnapped and you see everybody that's heavily armed, what is the public supposed to do? What is a loved one supposed to do? You know, my mother and my father came here and sacrificed everything. My father passed away when I was 24, around there, 23, 24. And then my mother held it down for all those years. The sacrifice that my mom gave to me and my sister. And you're going to tell me I'm supposed to act peacefully? Come on. The Gestapo are initiating this violence by the sheer presence and the sheer way they conduct themselves towards the public. We have seen them put their knee on the back of undocumented workers. We've seen them put their knees on the head of undocumented workers. We've seen them beat undocumented workers. And you're supposed to tell us not to act peacefully? It's like a bully. A bully goes up to you and punches you. What are you supposed to do? You're either going to do two things: run away or fight. You know, and I applaud all those comrades out there in Ventura County that stood their ground, and they held it down for I think it was probably more than 10 hours from the morning to the night. And they held it down. And I'm glad to see that the LA judge granted temporary restriction on the Gestapo's operations out here. But like Tom Holman said, they have any reasonable suspicion, they're gonna take somebody.
Well,
and out here, and go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I was just you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I was just going to say that alone shows who they're targeting. And I'm glad I saw some video of something that happened in Brooklyn. The Haitian community stood up. You know, Haitians and Palestinians have a rich history of resistance. And when we're talking about the Palestinians, all these equipment, these technological equipment that are being used, facial recognition, you know, to recognize some, you know, a protester. That equipment is being used on the Palestinians. Now it's being used on us out here too. You know, the equipment to jailbreak a phone that the Israeli government created is being used on us out here in Southern California. You know, we know about Pautier. So we when some of us talked about the struggles out here and connecting them, that they're connected to the struggles of Palestine or other places in the world, and some people thought it's far-fetched. It's not far-fetched. It's the reality. And we have to understand, when we say free Gaza or free Palestine, we're talking about ourselves out here as well, because their struggles are connected to our struggle. You know, they're under a military occupation. We're under a pseudo-military occupation right here. But the scary part about it is we don't know where they're at. They'll just pop up out of the blue and snatch people. You know, and this is why it's vitally important to understand these two struggles are connected out there from Gaza to LA. They're both interconnected.
Right. Jose, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, 5 seconds, just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
I just wanted to say that the Tom Homan's quote about reasonable suspicion.
Look, people need to understand, ICE officers and Border Patrol, they don't need probable cause
to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question them. They just need this totality of the circumstances, right? They just got through the observation, get articulable facts based on their location, their occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. Like a uniformed border station walks up to them at for instance, a Home Depot. And they got all these articulable facts, plus the person walks away or runs away. Agents are trained. What they need to detain somebody temporarily and question them. It's not probable cause, it's reasonable suspicion.
Their occupation and their appearance is reasonable suspicion. And if that's not just saying we are going to profile people, I don't know what is. And, the military look of these folks, I mean, they have to feel if they have any sort of pride as, men and women, they must feel ridiculous. Outfitted like they're going to, storm Fallujah to kidnap grandmothers and children. The Guardian, I mentioned this in Last Week in Southern Labor, but I wanted to read a little bit about from this article since we got a call on this. The title is Undocumented Builders Face Unchecked Exploitation Amid Trump Raids. It's more work, less pay. The author is Michael Sinato. He's a good reporter on the labor beat for The Guardian. And he talks about how he interviewed one undocumented worker who said that when Donald Trump returned to office in January, Regalio said his employers cut their rates by 30 to 40%. Other laborers told him that they had endured similar treatment. They decreased the pay by piece because they know most of the tile setters don't have Social Security numbers, so they take advantage of that. We are in their hands. It's more work and less pay. Sinato mentions that with approximately 2.9 million U.S. construction workers, about 34% of the workforce, foreign-born construction sector lobbyists have publicly urged the Trump administration to soften their hardline stance on immigration. Advocates for workers' rights say some operators in the sector are using Trump's crackdown to abuse undocumented workers. They mention that undocumented workers are unlikely to lodge an official complaint. And so since people don't want to say anything because they don't want to be put on the radar, they're also getting retaliated against if they do say something. And he reported on a roofing company in Washington was raided by ICE earlier this year after workers filed safety complaints, with the fear of retaliation stemming from that case spreading to other job sites and leaving workers reluctant to speak out and file complaints against abusive work practices. And we've seen this, in some of the right-wing commentary about the raids on the cannabis farms. ICE and the DHS folks are talking about how, we've identified unaccompanied minors who have been abused on this farm plantation sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, no doubt. I've got no doubt about that. And so what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to these children that you have rounded up now that you say are the victims of trafficking? You're going to send them back to where they were trafficked from. And I'm supposed to believe you give a shit about them? I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It's so gross. And any time that we see a situation like this, if an undocumented immigrant, adult or child, is abused at work, what the process should be that when they come forward and alert the authorities that their employer has abused them and broken the law, their employer should be put in jail. Their rights to ownership of the company should be forfeited, given to the undocumented immigrant with immediate legal status for the immigrant. That's how it should work. If we had anything approaching a just society, that's what it would look like. We would throw people who abuse immigrants and children in jail and give the things that they own to the people that they abused. That's what justice would would say. And actually, I talked to Dale Jackson just yesterday on his radio program in Chattanooga, and I laid out that scenario. He was like, "No, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, that would probably be a good policy. Actually, if we did that, that would probably just discourage employers from breaking the law." And I was like, "Yeah, it would. It for sure would."
But nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants
power.
to do that. I also wanted to point out an Economic Policy Institute report about how Trump's deportation agenda will destroy millions of jobs. They say that if the administration follows through on its goals of deporting 4 million people over 4 years, there will be 3.3 million fewer employed immigrants and 2.6 million fewer employed U.S.-born workers at the end of that period. Employment in the construction sector will drop sharply. U.S.-born construction employment will fall by 861,000, and immigrant employment will fall by 1.4 million. The deportations will eliminate 500,000 child care jobs. And they say that this matters because deporting vast numbers of immigrants from the United States is a major goal of the Trump administration. However, immigrants are an integral part of the U.S. labor market, and an increase in deportations will result in fewer jobs for both immigrant and U.S.-born workers, because it's like the economy is interconnected, and you can't rip out billions of hours of productive capacity from the economy and not have results cascading through the workforce. And we've actually seen this. You know, the Trump administration has been touting the June jobs report, which they say shows 2 million U.S.-born workers have gotten jobs under Trump and 500,000 immigrant workers have lost jobs under Trump. And what they leave out is the fact that those are not seasonally adjusted numbers, and that actually, if you look at last June, the labor force participation rate for both U.S.-born workers and immigrant workers has fallen by like a percentage point each, which is not small when you're talking about the labor force participation rate of the entire country. Okay, let that sink in for a second. A smaller proportion of the U.S.-born labor force is working today than they were a year ago. Similarly for the immigrant-born workforce population. And so this deportation agenda has not been good. And I want to highlight some of the just really, really sort of fascistic stuff that's been coming from the administration. We're going to play clip 1, which is a promo video from the Department of Homeland Security that is really, really spooky. Let's play clip 1.
There's a Bible verse I think about sometimes, many times. It goes, "And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us?"
Can roll on for a long time, roll on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
And I said, here am I. Send me.
It's just fucking freaks, dude. I mean, like, insane, embarrassing, gross, fascistic, obviously. And so I wanted to juxtapose that with a video from friend of the show, Drew Morgan, a comedian who, kind of a little bit did a bit that looked kind of a lot like that. Let's play this clip too from Drew Morgan.
Get ready with me as a federal ICE agent. Let's go. All right, let's hit those morning stretches first. That's how we get ready. We don't want to pull a back muscle while we're cosplaying as a badass. This right here's the warrior pose, one of my favorite things to do, pose as a warrior. That's the kidnapper. Keep your hands low when you're doing that one as if you're doing it to a child. That's the trigger finger stretch. Very important. Okay, onto the fit. We got a very basic white tee. It says freedom reigns because we're immune to irony, fatigues, combat boots, of course. Next, we got our tactical vest. I got a black one over white. Usually I like to put whites over blacks. That's a rule of mine, but I did make an exception in this case. You'll notice this one's 2 sizes too small. That's because I'm a big, strong man. I'm really strong. The idea is to look like what's scary to a 12-year-old because that's mostly who we're deporting. Finally, we got our mask and hat combo. You can get the mask at any gas station right where you get the dick pills I snort, and you want to pair that with a black hat. This one I got in Jerusalem when I was over in Israel training on how to be a moral colonizer. Very, very good stuff there. And that's the fit. The only thing left is my morning affirmation.
We're the good guys. People like me, not just racists. I'm not afraid of liberals. You're keeping America safe from children and line cooks. Rich politicians are my friend. I feel good about what I'm doing.
So there you go. Love Drew Morgan. And don't know really much else to say about this. It's bad all around. It's bad because of the human implications of what the administration is doing. It's bad for the immigrants. It's bad for their communities. It's going to be bad for us economically. And it's going to be bad when these freaks get more power and bigger budget and more of them. So, not good. Really bad. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.